The clotless Queen Crimson, the ever-red, Sanctus Viscera. The so-called firstborn of the world and first of the sanguine people, from all which others shed and grew. The age in which she and many of the other progenitors arrived is shrouded in uncertainty, though some facts remain as true as the flesh beneath our feet. At her arrival, the silence of a world untouched vanished, for she crawled from the wound screaming in an echoing fury. From the great divide she had come, and from nothing she had been made, so all would hear her and know she was alive. It is said she pulled herself from the wound's maw, crawling upwards for weeks, never ceasing in her ascent, for at this time the wound as we know it was barely asunder. Each passing moment forced her form to adapt, to better shred the ascent. Pressed close together in the world's folds, the ever-red clawed hand by nail up and up, faster and faster, until the warm glow of the membrane shone upon her face. Into the voidless silence she cried, and upon ground slick with new beginnings did she stand tall. Depictions and stories, carved in enamel and by tale-tellers' tongues, describe an enormous humanoid warrior, 4 meters, 15 feet in height, with 4 arms, a trait no other sanguine would share or inherit. Dense organic outer plating formed around their cobalt skin, which was said to protect them from even the deepest lacerations an Eucrasian beast could muster. Their eyes were bottomless pools of calcium white, and across their slender face was only ever the expression of unyielding determination. Hands formed into talons by their agonizing climb, their sharpness and inspiration for generations of sanguine soldiers and warriors. The pride of the swift slice, a sharp blade and a decisive blow all came from the first sightings of the Crimson Queen's razor-sharp meat gauntlets. Within her opposing stature, she also held aloft the aura of the untouchable, a born regality and fury, not lineage or expectation. A swaying head of pulmonary veins swept across her shoulders, pulsing tubes of blue and red, a mouth of circular teeth. An ancient envoy on his fading day said this about her: "It was in awe you pledged allegiance, in honor you bent the knee, and in fear you held your gaze below her own." The ages she ruled were prosperous, but as too was the untouched landscape, apart from the first buddings of flora and fauna emerging along with the first faction. She named the sanguine, but she did this as she was told, within the folds of the earth. This otherworldly reverence would inform much of her teachings and leadership with the ages to come. She had crawled out of the wound, she had carved a home within its flesh, and from her toils she had shed countless seeds of sweat which formed the sanguine people. She taught them the need of motion, that death awaits the fearful, and to stand idly by with a weapon in hand only makes you a coward and risks the world in kind. She revered the world, Eucrasia, and the wound for her birth. It became her people's mission to defend and preserve the ever-generous meat world for its gifts and generosity in bestowing life. Her budded offspring would train tirelessly in battle. Forging bone weapons from the landscape, they attuned their bodies to the flow of motion, the current of movement on all terrain, and how the corpus was an ally for the self, should you trust it. The sanguine had inherited their progenitors' passion, speed, tenacity, and power, but also developed a trait of their own. tapping into the vein, a state of anatomical flow that allowed their bodies to increase in strength, speed, and durability during battle, but at the cost of taking more grievous wounds should they suffer them. They had also been gifted the firstborn curse. The sanguine must continue to move always, be it by foot, in a tension, with twitching toe or stretching limb. They must always be in some method of motion, or they will die. This curse would be called a miracle by the Crimson Queen, and on this discovery, the first proclaiming of her gore-given title, Sanctus Viscera. It is unsure whether she herself or those trusted few among her inner cloister gave her this title, but regardless, it stayed. And so the reign of Sanctus Viscera, Sanguine Queen, truly began. Her time upon the flesh would be shorter than her spawn, her vitality given in great supply to her progeny as she would wither into a purple husk by the 7th age. In this time, she had seen the beginnings of the next faction, the next spawn to form, but was confident, or so it is said, her children were ready for anything to come, and to protect Eucrasia in her absence. Her corpse is said to hang as a great lavender husk in one of the great sanguine halls, an inert screaming statue with 4 claws surging forward in battle, as she would have wished to be remembered. In the ages she ruled, she and her kinspawn would explore much of the lands, though remaining to the north, closest to the first yawning of the maw, the wound, where she had first arrived. Incredible and horrifying primordial creatures that roamed the skinlands would face down the clotless mistress and be felled, though so too would her own blood be spilled, with zealous pride.